Welcome to Cooking at Nana Lodge. Today it is all about this lovely chuck roast, some wonderful chilies, and I'm going to show you how to make Mexican shredded beef or beef barbacoa. Whenever I go to a Mexican-American restaurant and they say, what protein do you want? I always say shredded beef. I love it. It is a long, slow cook process. We're going to take a cut of meat and just let it cook really slowly. But it's going to have so much great flavor when you see all the ingredients that go into it. And then from there you can turn it into tacos or burritos or enchiladas, whatever you want. Okay, there's a lot out here, it seems like, compared to a lot of the recipes I do. And it's true, there's probably more ingredients here than some of the other things I've done, but they're all going to add some great flavor to this beef as it slow cooks in the oven. So let's start out talking about the chili component. I've got two different kinds of dried chili here. I've got a guajillo chili, which is a dried poblano chili, and I've got an ancho chili, which is a dried mirasol chili. And you don't really hear much about mirasol chilies, but anchos are very common. Both of these are very mild. They're not super spicy. We don't want this to be super hot, unless you want to. Gosh, if you love hot stuff, you can add a whole bunch of hot peppers to this as it cooks. Go for it. But you know, in this house, we don't like it super spicy. The other one I'm going to use is a chipotle chili. Now, chipotle is a smoked and dried jalapeno, and then they kind of rehydrate it, and you often see them sold in what's called adobo sauce. You can buy it in a can. I like to look for the jars, because once you open the can, then you got to store it in something else or use them all up. And here at the jar, these are already all chopped up, ready to go. So those are the three chilies we're going to add to this to give it some flavor. We're also going to add some fresh ingredients, some fresh garlic, some onion, some dried seasonings. We've got a little bit of cumin. I'm going to add a little bit of smoked paprika to sort of come in with the smoked chipotle and give it a little bit of smoky background. It's going to be super smoky, like you slow smoked it on a smoker, but it's just going to add a hint of smokiness. We've got some oregano, some salt, some pepper. We're going to use the olive oil to sear the beef. And then on this side, we've got a can of beef stock. So that's going to help when this roasts to just add a little bit more beefy flavor. Some tomatoes. We're going to finish it with a little cider at the end, just to give it a little tang and balance out the richness of all the beef fat and the peppers. And then we're also going to use the beer with the tomatoes and the beef stock to let this braise and bring in some flavor. You want to use a beer. I'm using Corona. Don't use something overly hoppy. You don't want this to be hoppy. Just go get, a standard, regular old Miller or Bud or Corona. I'm using Corona because it's Mexican, and that's what I found at the store. So anyway, all this stuff is going to come together really nicely for some beautiful, tender, shredded beef when we're done. I've done the prep work and we're ready to go. Let's talk about what I've done. I've got all the dried seasonings and spices ready to go here. I took the ancho chilies and the guajillo chilies and I ground them up in my spice grinder. And my spice grinder is really a Krupp's coffee bean grinder, but I don't ever put my coffee beans in there. They're oily and you don't ever want that oily flavor to go through. So I just use it for grinding spices, and then I have a separate coffee grinder for grinding beans. We've got the chipotle and adobo all ready to go. That jar that I showed you is a beautiful, already chopped in there, super easy. But if you just buy a can and you've got the whole chilies in there, just chop them up, keep them with that adobo sauce because that's got tons of flavor, and you'll be ready to go. I've got the onions and the garlic here. I sliced the garlic because I want it about the same size as the onions. I don't want it all finely minced in this application. We got the beer, the beef stock, the tomatoes. I think we're ready to get to the stove and start browning the beef and making some great flavored sauce for cooking the beef in. beef is out of the oven. Whew, wow, that smells great. You can see how it's just falling apart, which is what we want. We're gonna just pull this out of here, pull the beef out of the stock. Then we're going to reduce that. All right, I'm gonna cover that with foil. Keep that nice and warm while I let this reduce and become kind of just a little bit of gravy. And then we're not gonna probably pour all of it over there because there's a lot, but we'll pour it over the top and we'll then be ready to just have tacos or burritos. We're gonna add just a little bit of the cider vinegar that I had because we just want just a little bit of acidity to balance out all the richness that the beef fat has left behind. While that's reducing on the stove, we're gonna shred this beef. Really easy way to do that. Just pick up a piece, take a couple of forks. So you just take a couple of forks and just pull it apart like that. Just makes nice beefy shreds. I'll finish this and then we'll pour some sauce over it and we'll be ready to go. We've got our beef here, all just beautifully shredded. Oh, look at that. And we got our sauce. I skimmed some of the fat off. And all I'm gonna do is just pour a little bit of this sauce over the meat. Because that's got just a ton of flavor. You don't need to soak it in there. You just wanna pour some over so that when you go to grab it for tacos or whatever, it's just got all this beautiful, luscious flavor. Now, there's a lot left here, and what you've essentially done is created a beautiful, beefy, luscious enchilada sauce. So, I'm gonna take this and turn it into some enchiladas for dinner, and so I'm gonna reduce this even further, thicken it up and let it be an enchilada gravy. But you can do whatever you want with it. These make some of the best tacos on the planet. They're great in burritos. You can make a lovely, lovely taco salad if you want to stay a little bit lighter. But anyway, we have beef barbacoa here for you, or Mexican shredded beef, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for tuning in to Cooking at Nano Flash, and we'll catch you next time.